When do I start preparing for my application?
Well, I would say now is the time to start. You might feel you're just in your second year engineering and you have a long way to go and then you should apply for universities, but that's not true at all. You may not want to take your IELTS GRE right away, but you could always start training. In fact, the GRE score is valid for 5 years, so you can also take your GRE test after your second year of engineering. You could maybe also participate in paper presentation competitions. Try and build a portfolio. Take an internship in a good company. Maybe join an NGO and show the university that you have social responsibility. You could probably also take up a sport or a very interesting hobby and try and build your persona. You would want the universities to know that you're not just an engineer, you're not just a person who's good at your studies, but you are a person who is good at sports, you're a person who's good at communicating, and your character has been built over the years.
When should I start my application process?
Well, the right time to start your application process would be 12 to 14 months in advance. Let's assume you want to join a master's program in 2020 August. Then by August 2019, you should have written your tests, your IELTS, GRE scores should have been ready. You should have written your SOP, get your recommendation letters in place, and start applying. Most universities, especially the top ones, the good ones, their deadlines are at least 12 months in advance. So I would say be ready at least by August, or if you want to take some time, maybe October, but at least a year in advance.
Can I change the course of my study from bachelor's to that of master's? Is it possible? Do universities allow that?
Well, the good news is yes, you can change your course and your master's could be in a different program while your bachelor's is in a different program. Let's assume you are an ECE graduate and now you want to pursue a master's in computer science. Then the easiest way of doing this is to learn a few computer science subjects beforehand. Let's say you can take up a course in Java or C or C++, master these languages. And when you go abroad to do your master's in the US in computer science, you wouldn't find yourself in a very uncomfortable position. You might also want to do an internship in a computer science company so that you can let the university people know that you have the required experience. And maybe when you apply to the universities for a computer science program, they might feel that you don't have the necessary prerequisite courses or skills. So they might ask you to take up a few extra subjects. You might probably study for an extra semester, but that's it. You can always change your field.
What do universities look for?
Universities are looking for serious students. They want to say that if you've performed well all throughout your bachelor's degree or not. So your percentage is really very important. It's also important that you don't take the same test more than once. They wouldn't want to encourage backlog culture. To add to this, your rapport with your professor is also important. Your good recommendation letter would give them an idea of what impression you've made on your teachers. Next comes the statement of purpose. An SOP will give them a clear view of why you want to do your master's. It's important that you have a clear path to a goal that you want to achieve. They would also want to know how this master's is going to help them. Along with this, an internship program maybe, or finally a project that you've done, maybe a journal that you have published, or it could also be a paper presentation competition that you've participated in, a sport activity. All these could make you different from other candidates who are in the race.
What should I write in an SOP? What role does it play?
Many students underestimate the role of an SOP. They work very hard for their GRE, IELTS, and they just copy their friend's SOP. Well, if you're applying to a good school, that's not going to work. As the name reads, SOP is Statement of Purpose. You need to tell the university what you've done and how this master's program is going to help achieve your goals. Most students end up praising the university in an SOP. Believe me, universities don't want to know about themselves. They don't want to read about themselves. They want to read about you and how this master's program is going to help you in the future. A lot of students just copy SOPs from an internet source or maybe from a friend. What they do not know is that universities put your SOPs through a plagiarism test. And if they find your SOP to be a copied SOP, then maybe your admission could be rejected. I would say it's not worth taking the risk. Be original.
How many universities should I apply for?
There are a lot of universities all around the world and we can't apply to all. And I feel that it is a little foolish to apply to 10 or 20 schools because we would not be going to all the 10 or 20 schools. It's a good idea to match the university requirements with your current scores and look at the research programs available in the university, see if your interests match with the interests of the university, and try and filter about 5 or 6 universities. You should apply to those universities that you can easily get into. Let's assume you have an average GRE score. There is no point applying to top schools that would reject your admission. So it's a good idea to apply to 2 schools just slightly above your score, 2 schools where you're sure that you'll get an admission, and 2 schools where you're playing a little safe. I think 6 to 7 schools are sufficient. You shouldn't be applying to more, wasting your money.